Hello and welcome into another edition of Bearcat Update. I'm your host Max Moore, and we start the program with a team that found themselves in a bit of a hole last week. The Northwest Missouri State football team needed a big win Saturday in order to reach the national playoffs. And the last time the Bearcat football team did not make the playoffs was more than a decade ago in 2003. Northwest took on Missouri Western State University down in the beautiful city of St. Joseph, and our reporter Hannah Ryan takes us inside the atmosphere of this rivalry matchup.
Northwest head down to meet their rivals this week, bringing a large crowd behind them. Sprott Stadium in St. Joseph was filled with green as students, staff, and alumni traveled to go watch the Bearcats take on the Griffins. Missouri Western head coach Matt Williamson said his team is prepared for the environment this rivalry brings.
Well, I think, the great teams, obviously it's nice to have that support, and you kind of hear it a little bit pre-game, and you start hearing all the cheering and everything. But once you're locked into a game, true competitors locked in a game, it's a lot of times that kind of fades away a little bit, but there's intermittent parts that you can kind of hear that. It makes a big difference, with the bands and different things playing. But preparation-wise, it'll just be a great environment just to play. It puts a lot of pressure on you because now instead of maybe having 5,000 people staring at you, you're going to have about 10 or 12,000. It's a little bit more. Hey, better not mess up on this one. So our kids will deal with it well. We try to put them in scenarios, and put them in pressure situations every single day in practice, and not exactly like that, but try to put them in pressure situations where they feel uncomfortable, because you get them to feel uncomfortable and they make it through it, then they become stronger, and then they're comfortable all the time, and that's where we've got to get to.
The rivalry was a little different this year. Missouri Western facing a Northwest team that was recovering from 2 losses in a row, which hadn't been something this group of Griffins had seen before.
I think kids might think about that a little bit. As a coaching staff, we just want to play really, really well. We want to make sure we stick with our fundamentals and our effort and our physicalness, and just be able to play and play really well. So, and if we do that, then good things will happen. So that's what we'll focus more on. But I'm sure kids and everybody thinks about that, at some point.
Throughout the cold, rainy day, Northwest Missouri State fans stuck around until the end, which is more than you can say for the Missouri Western fans. Though the game was away, the Green made it look like they were back home at Bearcat Stadium. For Bearcat Update, I'm Hannah Ryan.
Thanks, Hannah. And it's always a hostile environment when two rivals play, especially when the schools are, only 45 minutes away from each other? This game wouldn't be any different. Let's check out the highlights between the Bearcats and the Griffins. And it was a Veterans Day matchup between these two rivals. They honor all those who have served and who continue to serve, as Jonathan Baker serves up a nice pass to Sean Bain. Touchdown Northwest Missouri State, giving them the early lead here in this matchup. The Griffins trying to muster up some offense. They're going to try and do the option play, but the Bearcat defense is #1 in the country for a reason, folks. They are just too good on the defensive side. Emmanuel Jones into the end zone for a 1-yard score, extending that Bearcat lead. And Missouri Western on the Bearcat side of the field. He's going to try and rush it up the middle, but Cole Forney's going to strip that football. And guess who? Nick Hess is going to pull that football out of the pile. The Bearcats would get that turnover, and the Bearcats would again find themselves in a scoring position. Emmanuel Jones into the end zone, pulled right behind Landon Kubicek. And the Bearcats would win this one 30-0 over Missouri Western State. Jonathan Baker had a nice day with 17 completions, 207 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Sean Bain received 6 of those passes with 77 yards and 1 touchdown. Fort Hays leads the pack in the Super Region 3 playoffs. Fair State and Ouachita Baptist are the 4-5 matchup. 2-7 is UIndy and Harding. And Ashland and Northwest are the 3-6 matchup. Now, for Northwest Missouri State, should they take care of business against Ashland, they will take on the winner of University of Indianapolis and Harding. And should University of Indianapolis get upset by Harding, Northwest would be able to have a home game the following week. And all things look well if they were able to do so and take on Harding, as they beat them last year 35-0 behind a stout defense. And then they could go back to Fort Hays in a rematch of just a couple of weeks ago. And we're going to take a quick break, but don't turn that dial. We have plenty more here on the program on KNWT Channel 8. Welcome back to Bearcat Update. I'm your host, Max Moore, and the college basketball season has finally begun. Most teams schedule some cupcake games early on in the season, and they try to find games to get ready for their tough conference schedule. The Northwest Missouri State men's basketball team took that opposite approach. Coach Ben McCullum scheduled tough non-conference opponents to get his team ready for when the going gets tough. Because as Bluto would say, because when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Our reporter Michael Byland got the highlights of the Bearcats' first game against Upper Iowa earlier in the week.
The Northwest Missouri State men's basketball team tipped off the season at the 26th annual Hilliard Tip-Off Classic, taking on Upper Iowa on Friday. The Bearcats get started with some good ball movement as two seniors hook up for that easy lay-in. Brett finds Chris for a three-point jumper, and then Justin Pitts takes it himself. Bearcats run into halftime up 41-31. Second half, Brett finds Chris again in the corner for 3 of his 20 points in the game. Pitts with the nice crossover floats that one in. Midway through the second half, Brett Doherty slams it down, putting Northwest up 59-45. Justin finds Chris for another tray. Bearcats shooting over 500% from behind the arc. The Bearcats have no trouble with Upper Iowa winning 89-65.
I thought they all came in and played fairly well, did their job. I'm not seeing somebody coming in and just bringing juice, just bringing that energy. And I think that's partly guys trying to feel their way around. It's partly because we are playing a lot of new guys. And the other part is making sure that our seniors make sure that those guys understand what they need to do competitively to be good. We got enough stops defensively. We kind of amped up a little bit defensively, but we have a very long ways to go before we're going to be anywhere near what we need to be.
Northwest will play its first home game Friday, November 17th. For Bearcat Update, I'm Michael Byland.
And the Northwest women's basketball team was in action as well. On Friday, the Cats took on Ouachita Baptist in Bolivar, Missouri, and they fell in that one 54-68. Mallory McAndrews had a team-high 13 points, hitting 4 times from beyond the arc. The next day, the Cats took on Henderson State, and they fell in that one, unfortunately, 63-75 behind a strong performance by senior Tanya Meyer, who recorded a double-double, leading all scorers with 21 points and a career-high 18 rebounds. That's very impressive, folks. And the Northwest Volleyball team was in action as well this weekend, wrapping up their regular season. Friday, they took on the number 5 ranked University of Nebraska-Kearney Lopers, and we got the action from that one, so let's see how the Cats did against that top-ranked opponent. They're going to try and get themselves fired up for this one, as they need a big win here, as Megan Stillmock is going to start it off by bumping, Sarah Danatel setting, and Morgan Lewis spiking it home. Fantastic play by the Bearcats, and the cheer team certainly likes that one. Here's Stillmock again, bumping, Danatel setting, and Morgan Lewis spiking it again. Fantastic day for the Cats overall. Maddie Bruder had 17 kills. Morgan Lewis followed with 14 kills. And in the assist column, Sarah Danatel and Maddie Aarons both had 27 assists apiece. And in the dig column, Olivia Nowakowski led the way with 23. Another great outing for the libero there. But the Cats would eventually fall to the Lopers 3-1. And on Saturday, Northwest beat Fort Hays 3-1 on senior night. And the Bearcat volleyball team plays Tuesday in Warrensburg against the University of Central Missouri Jennies in the first round of the MIAA tournament. And we're going to take another break, but coming up next on Bearcat Update, we have Coach's Corner with one of my favorite people in the world. You won't want to miss it here on KNWT Channel 8. And welcome back to Bearcat Update, and sticking with the volleyball theme, we have on Coach's Corner this week, senior Darcy Sunderman from the volleyball team. Darcy, how are we doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Max?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to have you on, and each week we have Coach's Corner, so I'm really glad you're able to come on this week and be with us. So what things worked well this weekend to give the team confidence going into the conference tournament? Because you had a tough matchup in against Nebraska-Kearney, and then you had a big win against Fort Hays. What things did you guys do well this weekend to give you confidence going forward?
Yeah, I think the team really played well together. The bench came in and did a phenomenal job of giving us energy and giving us open shots. They can see the court the best out there, so having them relay information to people on the court of what's open, where to hit, definitely helped us out getting that win on Saturday.
So to counter that, what things do you think you guys need to do a little bit better to further advance in the tournament?
I think just continuing to let each other know when we're struggling and helping each other out in those times of need, and not turning into ourselves and being internal, and just letting our emotions out to each other and helping each other out is what's going to help us win the conference tournament.
So you guys are 1-1 against Central Missouri this year.
Yes.
What did you see from both the loss the first time around and then the win the second time around that's going to help you come into this tournament in the first round and knock them off?
Yeah, the first time we played them, their libero had a phenomenal game. She was everywhere, it felt like. And the second time we played them, our backcourt did a really good job of letting the front row know, like, hey, she's digging the line now, or she's digging cross court, and just letting our hitters know where she was at, and so that we could hit the opposite way. So I think that's going to be very crucial going into our game on Tuesday.
So it was senior night this past weekend, and just what was it like playing? What's it like playing on senior night when you have all your support, your family and your friends there to just kind of rally you on and to kind of celebrate your last? It will be your last home match, unless something kind of crazy happens in the tournament. But what was it like being able to play your last home match in front of all those people?
It was definitely a little bit of mixed emotions. Happy that I made it to senior year and that all my friends and family could be there, and also a little bit sad that it's my last time on Bearcat. But it was so much fun, and just hearing the fans in the stands and being able to get that win on senior night was awesome.
Well, and I was there, and I noticed you guys are pretty excited you got Central Missouri, so it's going to be a nice drive, only an hour and a half, I guess, away, instead of having to go all the way down to Central Oklahoma. So yeah. I'm thankful for you guys that you guys don't have to do that on a Tuesday. Just reflect on your time in the program. What was that like going through your freshman year all the way now to your senior year? It seems like it's been such a long time, but it really hasn't.
I know. It's definitely been a great experience. All the people that I've met, the lifelong friends that I've made, all the people that I have met that will help me later on down the road in life, maybe with getting a job or something, has been probably the most beneficial and best experience that I've had here so far. So it's been an amazing experience, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
What were some of your favorite memories on the team, whether it be a bus trip that you kind of remember, or just anything at home, or any wacky kind of stories that you're able to tell? You don't need to tell me anything that can't be said on TV, but.
Yeah, I think for sure on the court wise, beating Washburn this year for the first time, and I think it was 7 years, was awesome. And then also placing 5th in the conference this year was our first time, and I think since 1998 or something like that. So the first time in a long time. So securing that 5th place win, we kind of went out on Saturday and was like, hey, getting this win is like getting our first place win. So that was pretty awesome. And bus rides are always fun. We like to play that game where you put a word on your head, and then everybody has to do the actions, and you have to guess what it is. So that's always a fun experience. Yeah, it's just always a interesting time with our group of girls.
Definitely. And now you had a big life event happen this past spring. Tell me about that.
Yes, my boyfriend of a few years asked me to marry him this summer. So we are planning a wedding now. It's going to be June 9th of 2018. So coming up, it's going to be a busy year with graduation and all that good stuff.
How has this support helped you throughout the years, whether it be the good times or the bad times? What's it like, especially having now, I guess, your fiancé in this position to help you out?
Yeah, he's definitely just been a constant support for me there, whether it's me coming home and just venting about good things or maybe bad things, whatever it is, and he's always there to listen and reassure me that everything's going to be fine. And you know, if it's something that I shouldn't be worrying about, he's just like, stop it, move on. And so he's just been a very constant support for me, and it's been awesome.
Well, I'm glad you're able to have that support system. Hopefully he's able to help you get your mind right before the upcoming match against Central Missouri.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. Good luck for the rest of the way. Hopefully you guys make it all the way to the championship, and not only the MIAA, but the NCAAs. Thank you for coming on. And when we come back, we'll have more here on Bearcat Update on KNWT Channel 8. Welcome back to Bearcat Update. I'm Max Moore, and the Maryville Spoofhound football team was in action Saturday. The Hounds took on the Yellow Jackets of Center High School in Kansas City in the quarterfinal matchup. Let's see how it all went down in the state playoffs. Honoring the veterans there, the Spoofhounds. And we start things off with Will Walker giving it to Brady Atwell, and he's going to have a little hurdle right there, jumping out of bounds, giving the Spoofhounds an opportunity to score. And there's Eli Dowles just 1 yard out for the touchdown. And the fans are a little chilly there. It was a quite cold day there in Maryville. Nice little rollout by Walker, and he's going to toss it over to Brady Atwell. Another touchdown for the Spoofhounds. They're going to jump on top of the Yellow Jackets. Here's Eli Dowles again, bumbling his way down close to another score for the Spoofhounds, and Walker's going to sneak it in. But the Yellow Jackets weren't quite ready to call it quits. They found themselves into a score to make it 19-13, but the Yellow Jackets would not prevail in this one as they try and get this one into the end zone, but it is intercepted, and the Spoofhounds are going to end up winning this one 19-13 and moving on to the semifinals of the Class 3 state tournament. Brady Atwell had a big day with 119 rushing yards, averaging 9.9 yards a carry. That is big time, folks. Eli Dowles had 100 yards rushing and 1 touchdown for the Spoofhounds. And let's take a look at the bracket in the Class 3 state playoffs. Maryville takes on Blair Oaks, and the winner of that game will take on Mount Vernon and Lutheran South. And Coach Webb talked after the game about just being in the Final Four once again for the Spoofhounds.
Incredible. Every year is different. You really treasure every year, and you treasure the opportunities to realize that, Class 3 playoffs started off with 63 teams, and we're down to the Final Four. So to be one of them, again, is as a coach, you never want to get used to it. You never want to say, oh, ho hum, here we are back again. These are special opportunities that you're never going to forget, and our players deserve it. They really work hard and play for a great program and do what the coaches ask. So I'm very proud of our players and humbled to be their head coach.
Last week, our reporter Boston Schneider caught up with the Maryville boys basketball team, and this week he caught up with the girls team to see how they're preparing for this upcoming year and to see if they can build off last year. Boston?
As Coach Quentin Albright sets out for his 3rd year as the women's Spoofhound basketball coach, he looks to increase the win total from previous years and will push his team to keep a competitive edge throughout the season.
First year we won 8 games, second game we won 7 games, so obviously we're trying to improve our win total, but at the same time we're trying to improve our level of competitiveness. There's been games where we haven't been very competitive, and being in the MEC we play some really, really tough opponents with Lafayette, Benton, Smithville, Chillicothe.
Albright looks to establish a fast pace against opponents this year to get steals as well as points in transition.
When we score a basket, we want to get up and we want to create the tempo. So we're, and you kind of saw in our scrimmage a little bit, we're trying to get up and maybe put a little pressure on the ball, try to create some deflections and some turnovers and things like that. So we want to really set the tempo, that fast speed on the defensive end. Then on the offensive end, bring the ball down the court. We want to be fast again. And we want to try to push down the floor and maybe look at some easy transition opportunities. But if it's not there, we want to pull it out and really work the ball.
The girls' basketball team will look to bring it this season with a young core group of players as well as an experienced group of upperclassmen.
Well, the girls have kind of been using the hashtag #BringIt because I think this year I think the girls with a little bit more experience in our system and a little bit more playing experience for some of them, and an exciting young group of players coming in. They just have a little bit different feel about what they can do this year.
With a variety of girls from different schools, the coaching staff first looks at the game as a whole and then breaks it down as the season approaches.
We have girls that come from across town, from St. Gregory's. We have girls that are coming up from the middle school. We might have a girl or two that's a move-in. We have girls that played on the JV last year, and then we have returners from varsity. So we might have girls from 4 or 5 different squads. So one of the first things we need to do is just kind of teach them the language, because different coaches use different terminology. So now we're just trying to teach everyone the same language.
For Bearcat Update, I'm Boston Schneider.
Thanks, Boston. And that's all the time we have on Bearcat Update. But before we leave, let's see what's coming up this week in Bearcat sports. On Tuesday, the volleyball team takes on Central Missouri down in Warrensburg in the first round of the MIAA tournament. Wednesday, the women's basketball team takes on Peru State at home. Friday, the men's basketball team takes on Metropolitan State, and on Saturday, they take on Truman State at home. Also on Saturday, the football team takes on Ashland University in Ashland, Ohio in the first round of the national playoffs. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at BearcatUpdate_8, and if you missed the show on KNWT Channel 8 Monday through Thursday at 6 o'clock, watch us on our YouTube channel at KNWT. And remember, each day you either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. Good night.